I had a different video planned for today, but as I was recording it, I just didn't feel it. As of late, I have been dealing with a lot of doubts, a lot of negativity, and a lot of discouraging thinking. And when adversity strikes, this is normal. This stuff happens. But no matter how many times you deal with adversity, it's still difficult to deal with. When you face challenges, when you face adversity, there's no perfect way to overcome it. There's no perfect way. But what I've learned in my life is that the best way and the only way to deal with it is just to never give up. Just keep trying. There's something that I started telling myself when I first started this YouTube channel, actually, and it was, you can never fail if you never stop. If you continue to post videos, if you never stop doing that, there's no reason why you fail. Same thing with other aspects of life. And there's going to be those days when you just don't feel it, You're not feeling good. You're not feeling yourself, basically, right? And that's normal. But on those days, or at least this is what I do, I just spend a lot of time to think. And I just figure out, well, what is causing me to feel this way? And I meditate on it, or sometimes I write it down. And I just say, okay, well, what's the plan of action now? How do I solve this? How do I fix this? And the one thing that I've learned through my life is that when I'm feeling just bad, when I'm having those off days, you can't miss training on those days. As much as you feel like, nah, I don't want to do anything today. I kind of just want to lay in bed. I don't want to do jack squat, but you have to do it. Because if you allow yourself to quit on that day, you'll quit on other days. Just never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Because the opportunities that you have in your life will not come your way unless you are playing the game. Unless you're still going. The moment you decide, I'm going to call it quits, is the moment the opportunity isn't going to come your way anymore. To win the game, you must play the game. And the cool thing about life is that you decide when it's over. You decide when, you know what, I'm going to hang up the gloves, I'm going to hang up the cleats, whatever analogy you want to use. But you can play the game until you die. So why quit before then? And an exercise that I like to do is to think of myself in the future. To see how far that I have come. If I were to picture myself 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I want to be able to look at that and say, you know what, I'm ultra successful in the span of that time. I got from the point where I'm at now to such a higher level that it's unbelievable that I was able to do that in a year. And the only way for that vision of mine to be a reality is to do the hard things, to be consistent, and to get through these rough patches, to get out of those ruts. And that motivates me. Just thinking to myself, one day, I'm going to be able to look back and be grateful for all the hard times. Be grateful for those days when I pushed through the workout even though I wasn't feeling like it. I've learned that motivation comes and goes. It's not always there. But something that you can always rely on is your discipline. You can will yourself into doing a workout. You can will yourself into getting out of bed. But while that sounds great and you sound like David Goggins and everything, when you don't have that motivation, the workout isn't always as good. You're not pushing yourself as hard as you usually do. You're stagnating. Or at least that's how it is for me. So I try to keep that motivation alive as much as I can. And I guess I just gotta roll with the punches when it's not there, but I think a lot of people hate on motivation these days because they say, oh, well, motivation sucks. You need discipline, and discipline is all you need. Well, I think you need both. To me, it's like motivation is the jet fuel, and discipline is the emergency fuel. Motivation is what will fuel you to get to where you want to go. Discipline is what will pick you up when you run out of motivation. So you need both. And how do you get motivation? I think it's by surrounding yourself with what you want, right? If you want to do well in, for example, I'll give a random example. Let's say you really want to become the world's greatest businessman. Well, why don't you read a lot of books about business? Why don't you watch a lot of content about business? Why don't you do a binge watch of Shark Tank? I don't know. Surround yourself with what you want, right? And just start doing that thing. Basketball, for example. When I feel unmotivated for basketball, I start watching videos of basketball players that I look up to, right? I look up to Kobe Bryant as one of them, right? And I start looking at his highlight reels, and I look at the interviews of a lot of NBA players, What did they do when they were going through adversity? What did they do when they had an injury? What happened to them when they faced that adversity? And it's great having the internet nowadays because you can surround yourself with the smartest minds in the world at just the click of a button, right? If you want to have a conversation with Jordan Peterson, you can watch an hour-long interview with Jordan Peterson. Like, it's all out there. And the reach that we have and the access to knowledge that we have is off the charts. It's never been this high. But I find it interesting that we still struggle for motivation. I guess it's just a human tendency. But another way to keep that motivation is to focus on your why. Why do you do what you do? Because if the why is strong enough, your motivation will be very plentiful. Now, of course, even if your why is the strongest why in the world, you may run out of motivation here and there. That's just how life goes. Because life is not like those movie montages where there's cool music playing in the background and, it's a whole montage sequence. No, life is definitely not a montage. There's a lot more quiet moments where you just have to face reality and decide, is this what I really want to do? You start questioning yourself, or you start questioning whether or not it's all worth it. But if you have a strong enough why, you can say yes to that question. And that's really all you need.